I am not an expert when it comes to money, but I am a human who has struggled with money for a very long time, moved through a lot of limiting beliefs around money, and still not having like the huge breakthroughs of abundance. And so today I'm not really going to talk too much about some of the spiritual stuff. I'll do that in another video. But what I do want to talk about today is the very practical things. If you are like me and you're in your 30s and you haven't done some of these things, it's definitely time to get on it. If you're in your 20s and you're not doing these things, this is a really great time to start. So I'm just going to give you about 3 or 4 tips and guidelines of things that you should really be paying attention to when it comes to your finances, especially if you're somebody who struggles or has a sort of back and forth relationship to money. Sometimes it goes really well, you're in abundance, you feel like everything's flowing. Sometimes it's not so much. So the first step is to lay it all out and be very aware of how much debt you have and how much cash you have. So you can determine your net worth, or you can just start to look at how much credit card debt do I have? How much is my student loans? Do you have a mortgage? Do you have car payments? Do you have savings? Do you have a Roth IRA? Do you have any kinds of IRAs, retirement funds, investments? What's liquid, what's not, what's, a home asset. Really lay it all out and be super clear about how much debt you have and how much cash you have. From there, create a system for paying off your debt. And that will depend for you how much debt you're in, the kind of debt that you're in. I recommend Dave Ramsey's book and his system for paying off debt. He uses what he calls the snowball effect, which I have used at times in my life when I was in debt and has been very powerful. It's more of a psychological approach where you're not paying down the debt that is the highest interest rate, even though it would save you more money, because oftentimes you'll have to pay off that debt for a long time and you'll sort of lose momentum. You want to keep the momentum going and stay excited about paying off your debt and making progress. Otherwise you'll feel discouraged and you'll be like, screw it, I'm just going to go put some stuff, go shopping and buy a bunch of stuff and put on my credit card. So you actually pay off the smallest amount. So say you have a $300 credit card bill, you would pay that off first. Say you have a medical bill for, $1,000, but you have a credit card or a student loan bill for like $100,000, you would start with the smallest amount, even if the interest is higher, so that you pay that off and then you feel really good about yourself and then pay off the next thing. I paid off like $17,000 worth of debt in my 20s, my late 20s, using that approach. Step 2 is be aware of what you spend. And I've done a lot of budgeting in my past and that has never really stuck. One of the things that I did more recently is through a book called Financial Recovery, which I highly recommend. And she creates what she calls money spending plans. And that's something that you do every month. So it changes, right? And that makes a lot more sense to me because I don't necessarily spend the same amount of money on things every single month. The idea is not to be super rigid about it and say like I can't go beyond this part of my budget, but it's for you to be very clear about how you're spending money. It's all about getting intentional. So step 3 is to track what you spend. And I was very resistant to doing this. I've only been doing this for about a month right now, but I do find it to be very powerful because it's already saved me a lot of money. So I have a lot of things that are automatically deducted from my accounts or automatically charged to my credit card. And sometimes I don't even know what it is that's being taken out. So since doing this process, I've already noticed times that I've been charged for things that I shouldn't have been charged for, and they were a couple of hundreds of dollars. And I've been able to immediately contact those companies and ask for a refund, which has saved me a lot. In the past, I wouldn't have even noticed. I would have just paid off my credit card and that would have been that. keeping track of what you're spending is actually a really powerful way to be aware of what your spending habits are. You can notice, you know, for myself, I just noticed like I really like to go to the grocery store, and I would go to Whole Foods multiple times a week and buy things that maybe were just cravings and not really nourishing food and things that I really wanted to be spending my money on. And so that helped me to look a little more closely in that area. So definitely paying attention to how much money is going out and how much is coming in every month can be really helpful for you to become more conscious of your finances. Part of that practice that I found to be really powerful is just looking at your money every single day. So one of the first things I do every morning is I log into my bank account, I look at what's been charged on my credit cards, I look at what's come in or out of my bank account. I can see how much money is coming in and how much money is going out. And that has been really, really helpful and also helping me feel more engaged with my money. Number 4 is getting your savings on point. And I read a couple different books and I've sort of taken a little bit from each of them around creating my savings. The app that I use that has been a game changer for me in running my own business and dealing with taxes is Qapital, and I will put a link to that below. It is so amazing to be able to set a certain rule. So basically I set a rule that takes out a certain percentage of every time a certain amount of money, like say it's over $100 that comes into my bank account, it will automatically deduct a percentage of that and put it into a savings account for my taxes. So I've run my own business for basically all of my adult life since I've been out of college, and I've had many times when I've actually gotten in debt with the IRS because I didn't pay enough money for my taxes, or I didn't set aside money for my taxes every quarter and the end of the year came and I didn't have the money. So I highly suggest utilizing Qapital if you run your own business and need to set money aside to pay your taxes. It is such a relief. And then if you I usually kind of bump it up a little bit higher than I need to, so that when I have extra money at the end of the year, I can just utilize that for savings. So another thing that I do for my savings is I have an account that I call the Freedom Fund, which I think was from Financial Recovery Book, and that is the fund for saving larger amounts of money that I have as a cushion. So if something happens with my business or something happens to me health-wise and I can't work very much, like for example, a couple of years ago I went through a blindsiding breakup and I could really not work and I didn't have any solid savings to make me feel like I could take that time off and have peace of mind. So I have that account, and then I have another savings account which is called Curveball Savings, and I think this is from a book called Worth It or something like that. I will link to it, look it up and link to it below as well. And that is a savings fund for the smaller things, like I'm driving, you know, a lot and I end up getting a flat tire or something happens to my car and I need to pull that money and it doesn't throw off my monthly spending plan. So getting on point with your savings is going to be really helpful for having this padding and allow you to have some more freedom and flexibility and stay really aware of your finances and not dig yourself into a hole anytime something random pops up. So I hope this video was helpful in some way. If there's anything that you want to learn about in terms of your relationship to money and healing your relationship to money, I am definitely open to creating a video about that in the future. If this video served you in any way, I would love it if you like it and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for being here with me, and I hope to see you next time.